It's another go-around of SDH AM. Wow, that's all over the place. It's amazing what happens when you put on a headset. Goodness gracious. Well, first off, you're not Jason Longshore, so we got to fix that. And, all right. I'm still trying to figure out how to change things and try to get adjusted to what we're looking at here. So, okay. So I'm not Jason, considering last night was soccer. It was Atlanta Soccer tonight. So last night, Jason did the show, and there we go, changing the avatar, and now we're back. So, okay. It's a new round of SDH AM. It's Wall Pass Wednesday. It's kind of loosely constructed, but kind of not. In hour number one, we got stuff. We got to talk about Champions League. We got to talk about somebody that was supposed to be suspended, but he's not. And you can't really say you're surprised that he's not suspended when it comes to the first day of the tournament in and of itself. Morning, Jordan. And we've got that to get into. We've got the pots that have now officially been determined, who's going to be where. At least we know that, because then you started getting the mock-ups yesterday of what could happen and what couldn't happen, who could be where, who could be doing what, and what it could look like in Mercedes-Benz. And folks were sitting there going, oh, well, you could have this, 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 and this. So we'll look at the pots, and you can sit there and color your own adventure coming up in a bit. 10 o'clock, Alexander Pama, the men's head coach at Life University, is going to join us because he's at practice right now. And then when they're over, he's going to come in and join us, and they're going to talk about their postseason. We're going to catch up with Coach McGonigal from Life on Friday. She's going to bat leadoff after I think they're in the process of traveling at that point. So they're not practicing early morning, but they're getting ready to get ready to go to nationals at that point. So we're going to catch up with Coach Pama, find out about the men's side at Life University. That's at 10 o'clock. And because we have no show tomorrow, Niko Moreno is going to join us at 10:30, and we're going to break down Major League Soccer, and we're going to look at everything that went down over the weekend and get you ready for conference finals and the Final Four, and get you ready on the flip side for that for MLS Cup. Our plan, once again, next week is to make sure that we cover the league as much as humanly possible. And it's going to be Thursday, where, if you remember what we did for Decision Day, we're going to try it again for MLS Cup. Try to get as many voices from Apple TV and here at SDH to dive into the pond and talk about MLS Cup, what they're anticipating, and we're going to open up the MLS High Yearbook, do senior superlatives as well. And we'll talk about all of that with all the guests that our friend Kirk Reynolds at the league office is setting up for us. He did a fantastic job of bringing in all the planes last time, and so we're going to do that again next Thursday, previewing MLS Cup. Because remember, next Friday is draw day for the Cup the world is chasing after in 2026. So the deal is there. We're going to be all over the place. Maddie and Jason are going to be at Brew House, and I think they're going to kick their coverage off around 11 o'clock. They're going to go 11 until, and then the draw is going to happen, and then they're going to come back after the draw, and they're going to analyze the draw for a while and do it at the Chaos at the Brew House. I will be live at Bench Warmers in downtown Decatur. They're going to open the doors. They might be serving like liquid and stuff, but not a whole lot of food. But I'll be there live to start our day with our help from Decatur Watch Fest, and we're going to be there live from 9:05 until about 11:05. Then Maddie and Jason will visit during the show, and then we'll hand it off to them at 11-ish, and then they'll go for a little bit. Then you'll have the draw. Then Maddie and Jason will have your recap with a bunch of folks and hopefully guests and things like that. So next Friday, it's going to be me at Benchwarmers downtown Decatur. Then it's going to be Maddie and Jason at Brew House. You'll have the draw. Maddie and Jason will have your reacts from Brew House. So you've got your day all squared away about next Friday. Morning robes. Glad you're here. So that's next Friday. We're going to blow it up and hopefully have a lot of guests. I know that Decatur Watch Fest and City of Decatur are going to join me, and we're going to talk about what the runway is for them as they get ready for World Cup 2026. And then Jason's going to have folks at Brew House, and it's supposed to be a packed place next Friday. So breakfast with me at Benchwarmers in downtown Decatur. Maddie and Jason will drop in probably to start hour number 2. And then we'll talk about pots and draws and things and all the news and everybody anticipating everything and all that. Then we'll get into the draw itself with Maddie and Jason. Draw happens, reacts after. So we're going to be wall to wall with the draw on Friday because Saturday is MLS Cup, week from Saturday. So that's next week. This week, once again, we're setting you up today for Thanksgiving. And I do have some opening kickoff-y stuff that has to do with Thanksgiving that we'll talk about today. But hour number 1, Champions League, anything we missed in Major League Soccer, anything we missed in the news of the day. We got to talk about Boa Vista in Portugal, and our buddy Nino Torres will be joining us on Friday to discuss it as well. But we got to talk Boa Vista and everything else that's happened. So hour number 1, we're going to talk World Cup. We're going to talk about Champions League. We're going to talk about news of the day. Get you ready. 10 o'clock, Alexander Pama, men's head coach at Life U. 10:30, Niko Moreno, and that's going to close out today. No show tomorrow. We want you to spend time with your family. We'll have some programming and some segments that we'll release that can keep you up to date and things that you might have forgotten, things like that. So we'll have programming kind of drifting in through the day. So set your notifications. Friday, we're back to normal. And it's going to be the head coach of the women's side at Life U, Meg McGonigal. She's going to join us right off the top. And then 10 o'clock, our friends from Major League Soccer, Nino Torres joining us at 10:30. That's your week. Okay. Now, it is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And here is said a QR code where you start your day. You start your day there at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You go there, you go in, we want you to buy the store. And then when you buy the store, you get to do it at a 15% off discount because if you use the code soccer down here 15, that's how you do it. So buy out the store, but you're going to buy out the store at 15% less. Start your day at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. They in turn take 10%, reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives, once again brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. It's a two-part thing. One's going to take a little less time than the other. So tomorrow being Thanksgiving, I know that the boss and I have 2.5-hour road trip to go see family, and we're going to be spending time there. So it's a 2.5-hour drive from here in the studios to Montgomery, Alabama, and we're going to spend time there. We're going to eat there. It's like a centralized location for those of you that may not necessarily know our layout. So centralized location for the boss's family, and we're going to Montgomery, and so we're going to spend time there. We're going to drive there. We're going to eat, spend a little time, and then I've got to drive back because I've got quarterfinals for the high school football championships coming up Friday night. And when you have your gatherings as you do, there's always that one thing that you've got to have that no one else can have. So basically, the table gets all laid out. Everybody brings their things, and, you don't cook it yourself, but someone always brings something that you're locked into, no one else can have. It shows up. You basically sit there and you take the container that it's in. And it's like, I don't know what y'all are having. I'm having this. What is that for you? What is that as a part of your Thanksgiving spread? What is that for you that is the thing to do for Thanksgiving? What is that to do thing that you've got to have? What is that meal that you've got to have and no one else can have it? You're diving into the table, you're grabbing it, and it's just like, nope, that's mine. Secondarily, is there PARS, the grandmother's collard greens. Now, I assume that bacon and vinegar are attached to the collards. Okay, so like I said, I'm assuming that, but let me know if it's different. Second, and I'm guessing for PARS, this could end up being the same thing. Is there a wild card that isn't traditionally a Thanksgiving meal or a side or part of the layout that is a part of yours? I can answer that. I can answer both of those questions with the same answer. So first off, what's your go-to that no one else can have? You see it, you monopolize it, no one else can have it, and you're like growling and fighting at people if they want to take a peek at it. Second, is there a non-traditional Thanksgiving side, meal, item, what have you, that you have as a part of your grid that's not, like standard fare? We have the standard fare that we see in the commercials. The table goes from one end to the other. and you see like the ham and the turkey, you know, all those stereotypic things. I'm not talking that. What wild card is a part of your grid that is non-traditional when it comes to Thanksgiving, that you sit there and like Chandler Bingham had like, spaghetti or whatever. So Chandler's Thanksgiving, he didn't eat traditional Thanksgiving food. He had his atypical stuff. What is that atypical thing that's a part of your grid? Our grid, Jordan's is cheesecake. Look out. Okay. All right. So Jordan's got cheesecake and he's also got sweet potato marshmallow. Okay. So now the boss, we have in her family, she has a recipe that is now third generation. And it is named after her grandmother who started it. So the rice dish was named after the grandmother. So it's Sacey's rice, SACEY''S. It's her rice dish. What it is the most ungodly fattening thing you've probably ever had in your entire life. Because it's very, very simple. It takes about an hour to cook, but it's incredibly simple to make. It is, when you go to the grocery store and you're buying the packets of white rice, the brick, the bricks that you get of the white rice, you take a brick of that, put it in a bowl. Then you take 2 cans of beef consomme and you put it into the bowl, and an entire stick of butter, not just like taking the knife and sitting there going, cutting it up into like 19 different pieces, and you take one slab off the end of the knife and you throw it in. No, it's the entire stick of butter. So it is the brick of white rice, 2 cans of beef consomme, and an entire stick of butter. I mean, literally, it's like you could just take the cholesterol out with a needle 45 minutes after you've had it. But it is fantastic. It's a meal in and of itself. That is what rolls up to the table for me. And I'm like, I don't know what y'all are having, but this is mine. And Patty will make it separately random times of the year. Like if we want to have, like if we want to have pork tenderloin, she'll make the rice to go with it. Like I said, it takes an hour to make just because of everything having to soak in with everything. But that rice dish, easy to make, long on the watch, but that for me is what I monopolize, and that's the atypical dish that's attached to the Thanksgiving that we have. So SACEY, Sacey's rice, named after her. Brick of white rice, 2 cans of beef consomme, and a big stick of butter. That's it. And so it is a meal in and of itself. You get like the pinwheels or the French bread or whatever. You could have that to go with the rice, and it's a meal. And it just sits. I mean, it just absolutely sits there as a part of your day. Like if you don't eat anything else because you won't be able to house anything else, it's that rice dish. And so that is the off the grid one, and that's also the one that I monopolize. So I can answer both of those questions with one. Looks like some of you have already been dialing it up this morning, and it is going to be good to hear that. So that's the recurring question this morning, 2-parter. What's the atypical thing off the grid that is a part of your Thanksgiving deal? And then what is the thing that you have to have that no one else can have? You see it, you grab it, you hide it, it's yours. So that's the first part. That's the first part. That is the A section of opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Now, B section has to do with what we fight on a daily basis. And I forgot to bring it up because we've been so busy looking at other things. I forgot to bring it up this Monday and Tuesday, and so I'm bringing it up today. And for those of you here in Atlanta that watch and listen and are a part of the show, we have perpetual road construction. Perpetual. And I mean, like, look, if there's a highway or an off-ramp or a gap space that needs an overpass, an underpass, lane additions, lane subtractions, repaving, you're pulling public domain, you're taking the curb space away, the first 12 feet of right-of-way to add a third lane or something like that. Atlanta is a city that perpetually is in motion of repairing transportation infrastructure. Could be adding a lane, could be subtracting a lane, could be moving a lane over for a right-of-way, could be an overpass, could be an underpass, could be trying to, sit there and fix the water mains that are attached. Could be the idea of, this road really needs to be repaved, so we'll wait 7 years and then repave it. but then the processes never seem to end. Literally, it's like that scene in Sleepless in Seattle where early on in the movie you've got Tom Hanks and Carl Reiner, and they're in the kitchen of the woman's house that they're redecorating. And she's looking at all of the plastic and all of the guys and everything flying around in the house, and she's worried about traffic and she's worried about dates. How long is this going to take? Tom Hanks, being the more upright architect of the whole thing, he goes 6 weeks, and then you hear Rob Reiner dive in, and he goes months. And then Tom Hanks goes along and he's like, yeah, months. Sorry. So, yeah, because all the things, Reiner sitting there and he's talking about all the things that have to be done. Tom agrees after he gave the honest answer. And so literally you have, I'm sure, the transportation guy who sits there and says, how long is this going to take? It's only going to take 6 weeks. Guy off next to him, months. We got a lot of stuff to think about. So we got people, we got the weather we got to look at, we got temperatures, we got all these kinds of things. So Atlanta is currently living that scene of Sleepless in Seattle, and we've lived it for like the last 30 years. When you think that road construction's done, it's not. When you think the freeway construction's done, it's not. Hey, this needs an overpass. Hey, this needs to be remodeled. Hey, this needs to be expanded. Hey, this needs to be contracted. When you look at travel this time of year, in addition to work time and going to work and all these kinds of things, this might be just me. I don't know. I have always wondered who it is that sets up the schedules for everybody to go to work. Why is it that you have road construction happening involving tar and asphalt in the heat of the summer? Literally, you have people who are probably not getting anywhere close to the money and the hazard pay that they deserve to do what they're doing on a daily basis. But tar and asphalt and just heat, all of the things to create the road, the new idea of the road or the new idea of the overpass and the construction and the imagination that's attached to growing populations and all this kind of stuff. Why is it, A, that you have construction crews doing construction work or road crews doing road work in the middle of the summer when you've got tar and asphalt and all of these temperatures that are attached? Why not do it overnight? A, just do an 8-hour shift. Just flip the time, like 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Do it that way. Why not just do it then when it's, A, not as hot, so you can actually get the work done and not worry about the road melting upon itself after you've started to put the things down on the road to fix the road in the first place? Why don't you do it at night? Because there's less people on the road and it's not as hot. Secondarily to that, point 2B. Why do we feel compelled to have road construction on a 2-lane thoroughfare that is one of the busiest in the city on Friday all day from 9 to 5, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.? You're on a 2-lane thoroughfare that is a known cut through, yet you feel compelled to have your work being done, A, in the heat of the day, B, on a 2-lane cut through, and C, making it difficult for everyone who uses that cut through to figure out, okay, how do I reroute myself to make sure that I actually get to point, the point where I'm trying to get to on time? Once again, if you do it in the heat of the day, seems to me it's counterintuitive with the construction tools that you're cooking with. I'm just saying. Do it from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Not as many people on the road, not as many people using the cut through, not as many people backlogged. It's not log jammed or anything, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what if I have to turn around? I'm just going to do a 3-point turn. I'm done. Like I said, I'm concerned. It's like we have the Julian calendar and we have the construction calendar. The construction calendar for me needs to be flipped. I'm just saying. Because of really the health and safety of the folks that are doing the work and the consistency of said work. Why not just flip your timings? Just asking. Point number 3 that I have this morning as a part of opening kickoff. When we are in rush hour traffic, I would propose a rule that if you are making a left-hand turn onto a road, a side street, where there is no stoplight, during rush hour, you can't make that left-hand turn. I mean, literally just like take all the left-hand turns and forget them. Ban, no. If you're making a left-hand turn and the road that you have, the intersection that you're at, doesn't have a stoplight, doesn't have an arrow, then you shouldn't make that left-hand turn during rush hour. So in Atlanta, that means basically 24/7, 365, unless there's construction crews working overnight, and then you got other things to do. I wonder how much time we lose in traffic and in travel and work productivity and getting from point A to point B and getting to appointments and such. How much time is lost because someone is making a left-hand turn onto a side street where it's either jammed, there is no stoplight, there is no arrow, and then also, some folks just aren't necessarily the most aggressive when it comes to making a left-hand turn onto a side street. I would think that if you are also familiar with the roads that you're taking, that you could reverse your path and make it a very easy right-hand turn to go into that side street instead of sitting there and backing up traffic for 15 to 20 minutes while you're waiting in rush hour traffic to make a left-hand turn onto a side street where there is no stop sign, four-way stop, stop light, or stop light with an arrow. So I would propose that for every left-hand turn that is thought about in traffic, where there is no stop sign, there is no arrow light, and there is no stoplight, that you can't do it. You have to reverse your path and figure out how to make it a very, very easy right-hand turn to keep traffic going the way that it's supposed to instead of log jamming everybody up. I mean, this is what I'm saying. So these were things that stuck in my head over the weekend, and finally I now have time on a Wall Pass Wednesday, which is traditionally where these topics end up coming up anyway. Traffic pet peeves. Yes, and I might be, look, I might just be old guy yelling at cloud. I don't know. And these days when you say old guy yelling at cloud, it takes an entirely different meaning. But I might be old guy yelling at cloud. I get it. I don't know. I want to get from point A to point B. I want people to be safe. I want people to do the work that they're supposed to do. I don't want them to overheat. Flip your calendars when it comes to productivity and see how productive you get. When it comes to road construction, delays, those kinds of things. Flip your route a little bit when it comes to, trying to make a difficult turn. What makes it difficult? Oh, it's a left-hand turn and I'm sitting there forever. Well, maybe if you'd gone around the block and turned right, then we wouldn't have this problem. Either that or just increase the number of stoplights with arrows or stop signs in four-way intersections. So that's those are the pet peeves this morning. A lot of driving pet peeves. But in addition to that, I want to know what your wild card dish is when it comes to your Thanksgiving table that is non-traditionally Thanksgiving, that is there for you. And then I want to know what your go-to is as a part of that spread that no one else can have, no matter how many times they try to reach into the plate that you have commandeered, and you sit there and you smack the hand, those kinds of things. I want to know about those two dishes. Could be the same answer for both. But I also want to know if I'm off the beaten track when it comes to making sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to traffic and taking care of the folks on the road that are there, making sure that the perpetual construction is at least working forward in better conditions for those that are going to be on the road. Pouring tar and asphalt, doing it in 100-degree weather seems somewhat counterintuitive. That's a rather long opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code. For those of you that are hanging out with us, we ask that you buy out the entire store. Go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Then what you do, you hit that QR code, takes you there, buy out the store. You can do it at a 15% discount by using the code SoccerDownHere15 at checkout. Then from there, They take, meaning the collective they at Kickoff Coffee, they take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Like I said, Alexander Pama, the head coach of the men's team at LifeU, he's going to join us at the top of the hour. And Niko Moreno is going to join us in an hour to go through everything Major League Soccer. And we'll get you ready for the weekend when it comes to anything and everything there. What you thought about the weekend, and now coming forward as we get ready for the weekend that will be when it comes to conference finals. Once again, no show tomorrow. Friday, we're back to normal. Guest rundown's a little different because of the holiday and because of activity and all those things. So Friday, once again, no show Thursday, but we will have some taped programming to kind of drift in there to help your listening pleasure. Then Meg McGonigal, head coach at LifeU, joining us right off the top on Friday morning. Our friends from Major League Soccer joining us at 10. Guest to be determined. Nino Torres joining us from Gold TV at 10:30, and that'll get you ready for the weekend. So there you go. All right. Thanks to all of you that gave the really cool feedback about our series that we're starting, Magnolias and Pelotas, having to do with all the other host cities involving the World Cup. It was really cool to catch up with Sharon Bolenbach, the executive director for Toronto as a host city. We're going to have more of those as we go. We've reached out to all the bid cities and all the host cities, and we're going to have all of the progress reports for all of these markets as we get ready for the Cup in 2026, what it's like for each individual city, all the things they have to tackle, infrastructure, budgets, relationships, who does what, where, and when, how many venues are we talking, what's personnel looking like. The one thing that stuck with me was that Toronto actually has 250,000 volunteer applications for like just under 4,000 positions. And I thought that was really cool that Toronto's throwing their collective weight into that kind of an idea. So it looks like we're going to be catching up with the folks in Vancouver in a week or two. And then obviously when other bid cities host cities come in and sit there and go, hey, we want to talk, then we're not going to turn them down. We're just going to continue talking. But we started that series with our friends from Toronto, and we're going to have all the other host cities coming up in a bit. All right, yesterday, Champions League. We got to get into that. So Champions League yesterday, I know we were looking at, and we'll go over the juice boxes today, as a matter of fact, too. And then we'll get into the pots for the cup that the world is chasing. And somebody's suspension isn't really a suspension until it's told to be a suspension. So we'll get into that too. Champions League yesterday, and probably when you look at the results from yesterday, we'll roll over them. And you had a couple of surprises. Juve at the death gets a win at Bodo Glimt, north of the Arctic Circle. Bodo Glimt had a late penalty to tie it at 2. Then Juve scored late to win it 3-2. Chelsea shuts out Barca. An early red card from Araujo was the difference. And then Esteval Willian, nothing like mixing the guys' names up. Esteval had his coming out party yesterday on the international stage for Chelsea. 3-0 win over Barcelona, 10-man Barcelona. Chelsea wins at a +117. Dortmund shut out Villarreal. I thought that one was going to be a lot closer than it was. Dortmund at a -103 wins 4-0. Probably the shock of the day. Bayer Leverkusen over Manchester City by the score of 2-0. Bayer Leverkusen was a +713 in the composite. And so Manchester City gets shut out by Bayer Leverkusen at home at a -286. Marseille beat Newcastle yesterday. Sorry, Alex, at a +204, 2-1. Napoli shut out Karabag, and that line absolutely exploded. Napoli was at kick, a -526. For most of the time leading up to the match and on match day, Karabag was basically a +900. At kick, it rocketed all the way up to +1458. Napoli won 2-0. Slavia Prague and Athletic Bilbao, a goalless draw at a +222. And then the early games, you had Benfica beating Ajax 2-0 at a -106, and Galatasaray getting shut out at home by Royal Union +334. So that was the wild. Those were the wild ones yesterday. Royal Union at a +334, shutting out Galatasaray in Turkey, and Bayer Leverkusen on the road at Manchester City getting the win 2-0. We'll go. Ropes has a question about wins and losses. We'll go over that in a second. Arsenal and Bayern Munich today. Actually, let's go to the 12:45s. Monaco and Paphos is at 12:45. Monaco's a -192 on the road to Cyprus. That one is being played in a larger stadium. at the Alpha Mega Stadium. And so Paphos is the home team, but it's being played away from their home ground to satisfy UEFA guidelines. And Monaco's a minus 192. The other 1245 is Kairat Almaty, and they are north of plus 1,000. They're taking on FC Copenhagen at FC Copenhagen at a minus 370. Now your 3 o'clock. Sporting and Club Brugge. Sporting's a minus 192. Club Brugge to win is a plus 503. PSG and Spurs, keep an eye on that one. PSG, a prohibitive favorite at a minus 238. Spurs, a plus 640. Is there really discontent involving Thomas Frank? We don't know yet. We've heard reports, seen the printed word. Is it just people squawking, or are there really problems? We'll find out. PSG, minus 238, hosting Spurs at a plus 640. Olympiacos, a plus 403, hosting Real Madrid at a minus 172. Liverpool, minus 385, hosting PSV at a plus 878. Like I said, these are composites courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Eintracht Frankfurt and Atalanta, close to being within the margin of error. Atalanta is a road favorite at a plus 156. Eintracht Frankfurt is a plus 168. Your 90-minute draw is a plus 254. Atletico de Madrid at a plus 146. Hosting Inter at a plus 189, draws a plus 241. And then Arsenal, Bayern Munich. Arsenal's a plus 114 at the Emirates. 90-minute draws a plus 252. Bayern's a plus 245. Question from Ropes. Is Vinicius Jr. going to be starting against Olympiacos? So let's find out. If we could spell Vinicius. We'll see what the late word is. On Vinicius and Olympiacos. We'll find out by using those two magic words. Looks like Xabi Alonso is looking to, according to our friends at Football España, looking to reinstate those two. So looking to reinstate them. Recent weeks dominated talk that Alonso is struggling to get through to his players. Los Blancos coming off a 3-game winless streak after losing to Liverpool, draws to Rayo Vallecano and Elche. According to Football España, Fede Valverde, Vinicius Jr., both of whom surprise absences against Elche. Marca predict a return to the lineup for both. Valverde on the right, Vinicius on the left. That leaves Los Blancos with a midfield of Bellingham, Camavinga, and Arda Güler. So the questions are probably defensive, according to Football España. Marca feel that Tchouaméni's return comes in defense, fit again after injury. Dean Howson has joined Eder Militao, Rudiger, and Alaba on the sidelines, leaving Raul Asensio without a partner. And so Diario AS is of the opinion it will be Carreras in central defense instead, though Tchouaméni restored to his more natural position in the midfield. The consequence would be Fran Garcia dropping back to left back. The point of difference, according to Football España, is the potential inclusion of Brahim Diaz, which would then see Valverde alongside Tchouaméni and Güler and Camavinga on the bench. Alonso looking for some continuity, admitting he hasn't enjoyed their performances of late. Los Blancos have conceded 4 times in their last 2 games, looking vulnerable against Rayo Vallecano, and that is from Rui Barlow at Football España. So Football España has it listed as Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, Brahim, Tchouaméni, Valverde, back 4, Fran Garcia, Carreras, Asensio, and Trent, with Lunin in net. So that's so that's what it looks like from the perspective of Football España. So they're thinking that they're both going to be back in. Real Madrid desperately need a reaction against Olympiacos, looking for their first ever win in Greece. So Diario AS once again predicting changes. Carreras covering Howson at center back. Vinicius, Valverde, Tchouaméni also predicted to return. So that's the short answer from our friends at a combination of Football España, Diario AS, etc., etc., etc. No, we can never have GI issues. Yeah. So it looks like it's going to be Lunin in net as opposed to Courtois. Nothing like GI issues. Not, as just GI issues in general just sounds kind of yee. So that is what happened yesterday in Champions League. Oh, we need to go over wins and losses. So let's go over the table because we're still in league phase. And so standings in the league table. Bayern, Arsenal, Inter, all 4 matches in. They've run the table so far, separated by 1 goal in goal difference. Bayern's on top of the table because they've scored more goals. Arsenal and Inter have scored the same number of goals, but Inter has given up 1. Arsenal have given up none, so that's why Arsenal is third and Inter is third. Is Arsenal second, Inter is third. Dortmund, Chelsea, Manchester City. It was Manchester City's first loss. Each team at 10 points. Chelsea more goal. So Dortmund more goals scored than Chelsea. That's why they're fourth and Chelsea is fifth. Manchester City is in sixth. Remember, the top 8 automatically advance. PSG at 9 points, match in hand. Newcastle 9 points, lost their first in 3. So that's your top 8. Real Madrid, Liverpool, match in hand, playing today, both with 9 points. Real Madrid 9th, Liverpool 10th. Galatasaray 5 matches in, they are at 9 points. Spurs match in hand, they are at 8. Bayer Leverkusen now has a win streak in the competition of 2. They are at 8 points, but they're the worst in goal difference in 13th. Sporting match in hand at 7 points. Barca is at 7 points after 5 matches. They're in 15th. Karabag is in 16th, behind on goal difference. Atalanta also behind on goal difference, and is Napoli. So 17, 18 gets you to 19. Marseille, 6 points. 4 teams at 6 points, all separated by the first 3 separated by a goal and goal difference. Marseille at +2, Atletico Madrid at +1, Juve is even. 10 allowed, 10 scored. That gets you to 22. Royal Union snapped a 3-game losing streak with their win yesterday. 6 points, -7 in goal difference. PSV and Monaco right now would be 23 and 24. Both have a match in hand. Both have 5 points. PSV has a better goal difference. So who would not be qualifying for the knockout phase at the end if everything ended right now? Right now, nothing changes. Frankfurt, Bilbao, Benfica, Prague, Bodo Glimt, Olympiacos, Copenhagen, Villarreal, Kairat Almaty, and Ajax. Ajax, by the way, in 5 matches in the tournament, scored only once, given up 16. Ajax at the bottom of the table. 36 out of 36, having only scored once in 5 matches. So that's what you're staring at with Ajax, and it ain't good. Ain't good. And the red cards ropes is mentioning yesterday, that will make it very, very interesting for match day number 6 when that comes up here in short order, and how folks are going to have to rejiggerify their lineups going forward. And so league phase, once again, you've got the 26th is the last go round for this match day 5. And so we'll have we'll be looking at all of those things coming forward, and we'll see what happens here at the end of match day 5, and we'll see what it looks like after today when it comes to league phase. Remember, then you get into Europa League, Conference League. We've got that on Thursday and Thursday as well, so we'll keep an eye on that. Europa League and Europa Conference League, just nuts. Just go watch Golasso and make sure that you got your plenty of food, you got your seatbelts locked, your tray tables up in right position. So, as always, having 36 matches on a Thursday is always a blast. So that's your Champions League rundown. Yesterday, word came out, and I know this surprises no one, that Cristiano Ronaldo will be at the World Cup. He was supposed to be suspended for the first 2 matches. And so he got kind of a how do we say this? He got a pass. He got the "Do you know who I am" card pass from the World Cup. It's like, don't you know that you can't have a tournament without him? Well, yeah. So he's in. So Ronaldo's sent off, for those that might remember, sent off in Portugal's penultimate World Cup qualifier against Ireland after he elbowed Dara O'Shea in the ribs. VAR check was required to upgrade from red. You had violent conduct, and it was Ronaldo, and it was violent conduct. So you get a 3-match ban. When is a 3-match ban not a 3-match ban? We have our answer. So he was not available last day of group stage. Confirmed by FIFA's Disco, first of which would have been in the final qualifier against Armenia. The second and the third matches were supposed to be during the actual World Cup. But when is a 3-match ban only a 1-match ban? Apparently in this case. FIFA announced that Ronaldo's in the clear. The remaining 2 games will be suspended for a year unless, quote, he commits another infringement of a similar nature and gravity during the probationary period. So, sure, you got a 3-match ban for an elbow Dara O'Shea. What are the first 2 opponents when we find out the first 2 opponents for Portugal? What do those first 2 opponents have to say about this? We'll go over the pots in a second. So, you elbow Dara O'Shea, you get it upgraded from a yellow to a red. You get a 3-match ban. You sit out the game against Armenia. Oh, no. And then the 2 matches, your first 2 matches group stage for Portugal is when that's supposed to happen. But then FIFA just decided, because it's a different competition and because it's CR42, that they're just going to kick it down the road. We're going to make these next 2 probationary. Hey, if you act up again, commits another infringement of a similar nature and gravity during the probationary period. Suspended. So basically, it's 1 match served, suspended sentence on the other 2. Unless, sir, don't do it again. But this isn't something that, FIFA just kind of jumped at, and they were like, they're not being randos about it. Article 27 of the disciplinary code essentially allows FIFA to suspend punishments when it deems necessary. So the FIFA disciplinary code, we'll go to Article 27. We'll go to Article 27, and we will read Article 27 together. Article 27, offenses, Chapter 1. Where is Article 27? We need Article 27 here, people. So, Article 27 of the disciplinary code. So, if Article 27 is in order, let me see if this is in actual order here. I'm in the disciplinary code as we speak. And I'm going suspension of implementation of disciplinary measures. Page 23, Article 27. 27, Section 1. The judicial body may decide to fully or partially suspend the implementation of a disciplinary procedure. That's vague. Basically, it says, yeah, they can do it. Yeah, they can suspend it if they want. Section 2. By suspending the implementation of the sanction, the judicial body subjects the person sanctioned to a probationary period of 1 to 4 years. Okay, they did that. Gave them the 1-year probie. Section 3. If the person benefiting from a suspended sanction commits another infringement of a similar nature and gravity during the probationary period, 1 year, the suspension shall be revoked by the judicial body and the sanction enforced without prejudice to any additional sanction imposed for the new infringement. Section 4. Disciplinary measures relating to match manipulation cannot be suspended. That is Article 27 of the disciplinary code. Basically, Section 1 says, yeah, they can suspend it if we want. If we want to, we can. Section 2 says the length of time, 1 to 4 years. FIFA decided 1. And then they remind us in Section 3 that, yeah, if it's the rule of the probation is broken within the time frame that you've given, then the suspension gets revoked. Sanction enforced without prejudice. So that's what you're staring at. So Article 27. We can do it. We can suspend it. So they did. Section 2, 1 to 4 years. We'll say 1. Section 3 will remind him, if you do it again, then it's revoked and you're on the beach. And Section 4, anything dealing with match manipulation, you can't suspend them. So that's Article 27. So now that we've had our look into the FIFA disciplinary code, that's what you're staring at. So it is literally anybody that they deem worthy of a suspended sentence, they will give a suspended sentence. And they deem, in this case, for the moment, we're suspending Cristiano Ronaldo's 3-match suspension for a year Time served so far, the match against Armenia. There's two left on it. So if he crosses the line again, finger wag, index finger, in the general direction of Portugal, and CR42 in his abs, that you end up with, hey, don't do it again. It's like the death penalty with SMU. Don't do it. We told you not to do it. So that's where we are with Cristiano Ronaldo. So yes, they deem that his presence is mandatory, necessary for the World Cup to be a World Cup. So right now, the match with Armenia is the only thing. We're suspending the rest of it for a year. You be careful, you. So that's what Article 27 is about. So that is the code that is attached to Article 27. And fooling no one. I mean, we all know that if you've got a star the breadth of CR40, that you want him in the tournament. You want the drawing card. Not a surprise. Using Article 27 of the FIFA Disciplinary Code, they can do it. So the article that was posted by Nick Miller over at The Athletic. Sole basis for FIFA's clemency appears to be that Ronaldo had never previously been shown a red in his international career. We all make mistakes. Good character. You can't be too harsh. And so Miller brings to the fore Armenia captain Tigran Barseghian, who was dismissed for an act of violent conduct against Ireland during the qualifiers. Ronaldo, like Ronaldo, given a 3-match ban. Like Ronaldo, first red card of his international career. Unlike Ronaldo, given no leniency, he has served 2 of his 3 games, still has 1 to go whenever Armenia next play a competitive match. Miller says there doesn't appear to be much precedent, or at least not relevant precedent. A couple of examples. One was about an employment-related dispute between an Israeli second division club called Kfar Qassem and Ivorian midfielder Alpha Mamadou Dian. And then you had Mexico fans in 22 at the World Cup. So it is FIFA using precedent and rules on the books. So that's where FIFA is coming from, and that's why they did it. No real shock. I mean, once again, you're talking about CR40. So once again, no real surprise in all of that. So now that you've got that, let's get into the other things of the day. Abby with Georgia Soccer. Hang on. And hang on. Oh, become a coach. Okay. Quick note from Georgia Soccer. Georgia Soccer has been awarded one of the elite early 2026 coveted slots for U.S. Soccer National B courses. And so all courses available in the Learning Center. And so if you want your National B coaching license here in the state of Georgia, go after it and go forth and gain said license. That's very cool. That is absolutely very cool. That, once again, Georgia proves itself to be at the front of the line when it comes to growing the game. So that is very, very cool. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Today, once again, we're in between college activity. That's going to be this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then in the NAIA, it's going to be next week. So you have Champions League once again. The Apertura quarterfinals are going. They're going to be underway in Liga MX. Central American Cup is at 9 o'clock tonight on FS2. Our friends at Alajuelense taking on Selaju. 2 to NA has Copenhagen and Cairo del Mati at 12:45. And Olympiacos and Real Madrid at 3. First leg of the quarters in the Apertura. Doubleheader, Monterrey, Club America at 9:30. Tijuana and Tigres at 11:55. Unimas, Olympiacos and Real Madrid at 3. Juarez and Toluca is on Universo at 8. Univision is simulcasting Monterrey and America at 9:30. Tijuana and Tigres at 11:55. Paramount Plus has all the action in the Champions League. And you've also got English Championship going on. Blackburn QPR at 2:45, along with Wrexham and Bristol City. West Brom and Birmingham City is at 3 o'clock. And Peacock is simulcasting Juarez and Toluca at 8. So that is what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it today. and how we're getting into our midweek with Thanksgiving tomorrow. Actually, tell you what, let me see what else is going on. And new Old Trafford due on FA's list for the 2035 World Cup. So that list should be coming out soon. You have, let me see if there's any other newsy kind of things that we can get into early before I get everyone's word on the Thanksgiving table and what it looks like there. And so what the wild cards and all these other things that are a part of the dishes. All right, so let me say hi to everybody and find out what your dishes are that are attached to the table that only you can have and no one else can have them. Plus maybe some driving acumen as well. So morning Jordan, morning Ropes, morning Pars. Pars mentioned his collard greens earlier. Jordan, the sweet potato marshmallow dish. I've never been a sweet potato guy. I just never have. It's kind of gooey and sandpaper and just kind of stuck. Yes. Ropes says after he has what he has, you have to have the after dinner walk. Jordan's cheesecake. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Abby. The question of the day was what's on the table that is yours and no one else's. Somebody brings it, you grab it, no one else can have it. You monopolize it, and then the wild card that is non-traditional at Thanksgiving that you put on your Thanksgiving table. Ricky's is mac and cheese. Abby doesn't do mac and cheese for Turkey Day. Abby, atypical, is chicken, hating turkey, making turkey for everybody else and chicken for you. Let's see. So, and Ricky and Abby are going back and forth about mac and cheese. It is a very Southern thing. Abby looking forward to the sweet potato with marshmallow. So Jordan and Abby need to have the sweet potato and marshmallow dish. Mac and cheese, great for any day. True. Must on Thanksgiving and Christmas. Abby, Chinese food for Christmas. Reminds me of A Christmas Story and the singing waiters. Not all celebrate Christmas. Yes. And Abby, every main highway is being repaved. Absolutely. Yes. Abby, I'm glad that they finally have started moving to overnight paving and road work because I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's because I'm at home and when it's being paved. Pars, if the temperature is too cold, paving isn't feasible. But we need to make sure that we can get from one place to another. Or just do it during those parts of the season when it is feasible, 24/7. Yeah, and Abby, we still need to figure out, since I'm busted out the Marshall Island shirt for those of you that are watching today. We still got to figure out a way to have that group in Arkansas make these 24/7, 365, and not just like on demand for the Outrigger Challenge Cup. Pars, not taking the left-hand turns during peak hours, definitely a roundabout way to improve flow. And he got it in his dad joke. No, I know I've got a Twitter account. And then just tweet it. But if I tweet it, then I don't get to have the conversation. That's kind of where I am at this. Spread the word. Abby's traffic pet peeve is not signaling. Oh, that too. Definitely. That drives me crazy because then you got to mash on your brakes because you're wondering why this person's slowing down. Nothing's happening in front of them. And then they just take the slow right-hand turn. That's always bad. And Ricky's saying improving traffic with better rail. Let's see. Pars. The one that gets pars is when someone flies up a left turn lane only and goes straight, which just edges out people taking the right turn lane to drive across the entire intersection, just continuing straight. Yeah, I've seen those before. Yeah, that definitely can happen. Definitely a good win for Leverkusen. You never know, Ricky, because but the thing is that if we post it, I've got to be careful of things to say and video and all that kind of stuff. And I know, Abby, we were discussing CR40. Shameful for FIFA for the bias they have in favor of some players. They know he's box office. You want box office. You want people to go see Portugal. I think Roberto Martinez is the one who's stuck. I think that CR40 bogs him down. I really think that CR40 bogs him down. And then Ricky mentioning the getting into the Club World Cup with the flimsy reasoning of another example. The wild card. Hey, we're going to invite them. We're going to invite so and so and so and so. Yeah, I mean it's shocked face, absolutely true. And I wonder what Idrissa Gueye is going to have in his suspension. And I give Jordan Pickford a lot of credit. for doing the bear hug to make sure that you didn't get a second red, because it could have been a second red. You might have been down 9. And ropes, yeah. Hopefully, Roberto Martinez sits him on the bench anyway. Absolutely, yeah. That's the thing. It's you wonder what he's going to be doing. You really do, and it's going to be really interesting. Potato and carrot latkes. I know about potato latkes, carrot latkes. I don't. That one I don't. Chinese and Cantonese on Buford Highway, and yes, so. You've got in hockey, yeah, hockey does have a World Cup through what's the international organization for hockey? Now you're gonna have me thinking about that through this interview now. Okay, it's 10:00, and being incredibly punctual as he always is. He's right there. He's right there. He's on time. Right there at 10:00. He's ready to go. Practice is over, and he's ready to talk Life University soccer. We bring in their head coach Alex Pama. Coach, thanks for the return visit. Thanks for dropping by. How was practice?
Practice very good this morning. Thank you. You're spot on.
It was, I know that this time of year, it might be a bit of a challenge in a holiday week to try to make sure that everyone is practicing, be on the same page, not getting bogged down with L-tryptophan and everything else that's attached to turkey. How do you, in a postseason, juggle holiday and make sure that you're still getting the messaging, still getting everything that you want with the match on the other side of the holiday? How difficult is it practicing during a holiday week?
It's a little challenging, but we knew this was coming, and it falls right into it. So you kind of adjust a little bit, but the guys by NAIA rules are entitled to 1 day off anyway, so it falls right into that category. And then we gave them an extra day off on Friday to kind of heal their bodies. At this point of the season, it's all about healing. It's all about maintaining a little bit of rhythm. But we're training Saturday and Sunday instead. Normally we don't train Saturday, Sunday, and now we're training because we're playing the round of 16 match on Monday.
When you're navigating all these different things and that round of 16 matches 5 days from now, obviously being as consistent as possible in your practice schedule is key. But with it being so far down the road, this time of year, that's a good thing. Instead of being in a rhythm, it's like, okay, we're playing and then we got a day off and then we're playing. You want that extra 5 days to heal up and get ready?
Yeah, I think so. I think at this time, most of the teams are all very good, but they're also a little bit beat up. Obviously, playing this many games in a short period of time, it's preferable, at least for us, to have a couple of days extra off so that they can heal their bodies, get more rest, do all of that. And at the same time, it is a little bit challenging not to get into a game rhythm, but you're trying to compensate with that in training, playing maybe a little bit more 11v11s, mimicking game situations a little bit more to keep some of that rhythm still there. But I think we all prefer here at Life that we have a couple of days off, rest, heal our bodies, re-energize, and then go again hard on Monday. And then we're lucky that we play on Monday because that means that our next game will not be till Thursday. So we have that extra day of rest as well, instead of playing the quarterfinal match on Tuesday, where you only have 1 day of rest. So, but without luck, you can't win championships. So we'll take it.
I was trying to do some quick math. Is it 14 different countries that are represented on the roster?
Yeah, you're about right. I think we usually around between 20, 21 different nationalities we have on the roster. I don't know if we have 14 now because we have a lot of Italians, a lot of Spanish guys on the team. So that might have made it reduce the variety of nationalities, but it's a lot. And it brings all the different cultures into the team and all the different playing styles. And you got to put it into your playing style. So it's not always easy. It's challenging, but we managed to do it so far.
So when you have the Eastern European influence, African influence, South America, and CONMEBOL, CONCACAF influence as well, and you're merging all of these different ideas of how these folks were raised and wanting to come into your system, how much reining in and redirecting and rewiring of the brain does it take to make sure that they understand what you're hunting for and that they go in that direction in addition to what they know from back home?
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's my staff and I mean, we are international ourselves, so and it's all about communication. It's all about communicating with the guys what we want early on, even in the recruiting process, so that you recruit the right type of player as well, because not every player can play in the American college system. You've got the challenge sometimes with guys who come from a very high professional academy overseas in Europe, and they come into the American college system and they think it's going to be easy or it's a step down, but in fact they realize it's a totally different ball game, and in some cases a step up from what they're used to. So and as long as you communicate with the guys, we show video, we use a lot of video early on in the season. We talk to them, not just as a group, but we also talk to them individually. We talk to them in the lines so that everybody understands their role fairly quickly, and because you don't have a lot of time. And I sometimes joke, one of my good friends is the national team coach of Suriname. He's in the World Cup qualifying right now, and we joke about that my job might be a little bit more difficult than his job, because we have to not only gel him in a short period of time and fit him into the system, but we also have to win.
So what are those conversations like when you have a friend of yours who's chasing after a World Cup berth and moments of history for a country, especially in this cycle as chaotic as it's been, because the last CONCACAF match day was off the rails? What are those conversations like? Does he come to you for sanity breaks? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, we've been friends from our days in the pro world in Europe, and obviously it's good to bounce ideas, because sometimes as a head coach you're a little bit lonely. Who are you going to talk to? If somebody can relate to your situation, it's easier to have a conversation with that person, and sometimes bounce ideas or just relieve some of the stress. It's better to vent to a good friend than to do it in front of other people. So but like I said, we joke about because he's obviously curious about what the college system is like, and I always often say to him, my job is 10 times more difficult than your job. But of course, this cycle in the World Cup qualifier, I mean, he's got to play Bolivia next. So that's not an easy feature and an easy game to play. So I wish him well, and I'm happy for little Curacao that made it. I've been there quite a bit, and I help teams on Bonaire, their sister island. So very excited for this World Cup coming up, and the countries that finally have a chance to qualify, because the powerhouses already are in the CONCACAF. So exciting.
When, other than Stanley, who else is on your speed dial when you have questions about, because you mentioned coaching can be a lonely business because you've got your set way and there really aren't folks to bounce things off of. I imagine that your phone calls to Stanley are either WhatsApp or you've got unlimited talk and text and then international calling on your phone. Who else is on your speed dial in situations like this?
A lot of people, but even in the NAIA or in the Division One, NCAA Division One levels, we when you've been in the game as long as I have, you have a lot of friends and a lot of colleagues that you kind of share experiences with, or you call. Steve DeCoux from Georgia Gwinnett is a very dear friend. Barry from William Carey, Lee Squires, Georgia Southern. So these are all great guys. These are all people that you once in a while call and bounce ideas off, or you discuss just the latest developments in the collegiate game. So that's just to name a few, but there's more than that. I'm probably forgetting one or two guys.
And Georgia Gwinnett, for folks that may not know, they're north of you. They are upper left in the bracket. They've got Cumberland of Tennessee on December 1st at 1 o'clock. You've got the 4 o'clocker with Cumberlands of Kentucky low left as you fill out brackets in Penn. When you had the matchup against Milligan, and you win that one 4-0, and I think goal number 4, if I remember correctly, was an own goal. So you had 3 of your own offense, 1 creating pressure, and a header that was supposed to go back to the keeper that went in the back of the net for 4th goal against Milligan. What are some of your takeaways from that Milligan game that you think will help you get ready for the round of 16 on the 1st against Cumberlands of Kentucky?
I mean, the first one was that the boys played like we've played all year long, with high intensity, quick transition, We are one of the most offensive teams in college soccer, not just the NAIA, but across the board. We if you look at a number of shots, a number of goals that we score. So, but most importantly, they stayed within the game plan. They stayed what we've been doing all year long, which we are a quick transition team. We're a quick offensive team. They did that. But what was very impressive in that particular game was that because of the scoreline being 3-0 up early in the second half, and then red card as well, so down to 10 men, it allowed me to put my bench on the field in the second half. And to see the bench execute the game plan exactly the way the starters do was very encouraging, because also in this point of the season, you need depth on your roster. And when those guys can maintain the high standards, that's a very good sign for us.
I think if, once again, and me doing math early in the morning is always a challenge, 61 goals in 19 matches, your first 19 matches, so that's like 3.25. And the other stat that sticks out is that you've only allowed 17 this season, so it's a goals against of about 0.9. When you have an offense and the demands that you have on the offense, and they're creating as they are, but at the same time you're doing so well defensively where you've only given up 17 and 19, what does that speak about them working both sides of the ball, getting back what they need to, drifting back into position, and understanding their roles when they don't have possession and they're trying to get it back so they can get those 3.25 that they put in the back of the net? What's it like to have two-sided players the way that you've got?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the game, right? I mean, in the beginning of the season, of the 17 goals allowed, I mean we in the beginning of the season, most of our goals were allowed back then, and most of them came from set pieces. So we told the guys early on in the year, okay, let's focus on that one day a week. One of our staff members got assigned set pieces, and Matheus Brandão, my assistant from Brazil, he did a very good job. And I said to the lads, if we can reduce the goals against by 50% out of set pieces or standard situations, that's going to even increase our chances to win a championship. So the guys bought into that, and they saw the difference, because very few goals we allow from the field. So our transition game offensively, as I just mentioned, is very good, but our transition game defensively is also very good. And you got to defend with all 11 players. You can't play just with the 4 guys in the back or the 3 guys in the back, however you want to defend. And then, like I said, we have a very good goalkeeper, experienced goalkeeper that leads that back line that we brought in from Missouri Baptist. He's a transfer player. Then you have, I mean, I think we have one of the best defenders in the country. I think this young man will go a level above us after he's done with college. Devin Korn, he's the captain as well. But it's the whole team really that is impressive, the way they are defending. My captain sent me a little clip from that Milligan game a day, I think it was yesterday, where he showed the defensive transition, and 9 guys were sprinting back as soon as we lost the ball. So that right there is why on both sides of the game we are successful so far.
And getting ready for the round of 16 coming up, first of the week in the NAIA title chase. It's Alex Pama, the head coach on the men's side for Life U, hanging out with us here on the morning show on a Wall Pass Wednesday. I think it's 16 different goal scorers that you have this year, but you have a freshman with 17 goals as your leading scorer, Andre Apostu. What's it been like to see him instantly grasp what's going on and just take the reins the way that he has? 17 goals and 1 assist so far this season. I mean, that's strong for a freshman to come into a situation, especially from Romania, and come in, be a part of what you're looking for there at Life, and give you the results that he's given you so far. What's that been like to see?
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic player. Obviously, he's Player of the Year in the Southern States Athletic Conference. Also Freshman of the Year. But he got injured in the last regular season game, so we didn't play him in the conference tournament, and we didn't play him in the opening round of the national tournament. He is back for this round of 16 game, and we can tell the difference in training these last 3 days. He is a very dangerous player. He's a mature player. He's another one of those candidates that probably will play one level above us in the near future, be it MLS or be it USL championship, because he's got those qualities. And yeah, he's just a very dangerous player, but a very complete player. But what makes him special is that he stays humble. Success doesn't go to his head. Last year we had with Thomas Rodella, the Golden Boot winner, a similar type of guy. We don't, in our culture, team culture, we don't allow that also for that to happen. We don't like that. So we try to stay humble. We're trying to stay focused on the task. And I tell my guys, keep your head down. I mean, good things will come to you if you just keep producing results. And I think Andre is one of those guys that will go further. But if you speak to him, you'll probably agree with me. What a super nice guy. I even told him he can date my daughter. I mean, that's how much I like him.
How much study hall have you gotten in on Cumberland's, or are you the kind of coach this time of year that you focus on yourself and whatever's going to happen is going to happen?
Yeah, we spent a good 3-4 hours yesterday watching film on Cumberland's. Interesting group, a very talented group. Went to the semifinals of the national tournament last year. Of course, this year is a different team. We played them early in the season, although that's not a very good reference because it was early in the season, so the teams were looking a little different than they look today. And they got an early red card, so it was 11 against 10. But we beat them before. I think it's going to be a tough matchup. At this point in the tournament, I don't think there's any more easy teams. You got to, play your best in order to advance and go after the big trophy.
Yeah, there were, I think, 6 teams that were unranked that have made it into the round of 16 here coming up first of the week. When you're looking at film on an opponent, how far back do you go? Do you sit there, okay, we played them previously, we'll look at that, we'll look at some things, and then we'll look at their last match? How far back and how in-depth do you go when you go and chase after an opponent's film?
Yeah, we did go look a little bit towards, but we quickly decided as a staff to move away from the first time we played them. We did look at the rosters. We saw the differences, so we were like, okay, let's focus on what they look like now. So we looked a little bit on that, but we mostly focused on the last 2-3 games that they played, and then dissected them. There's certain things that Coach Neto does that are similar from year to year. I'm sure when they analyze us, it's the same thing with me and my teams. So we are familiar with them, and then with those things. And now we're looking at some details and see where you can get an advantage, and then relay that onto the guys on Saturday and Sunday so that they know Monday what to expect. And in training, we've kind of touched upon it a little bit already today, this morning.
4 o'clock in Orange Beach on the first, round of 16, the 5-seed Life taking on the 12 Cumberlands of Kentucky. Low left as you fill out your brackets and pen. Safe travels. First and foremost, have a great holaday. Thanks for coming on the day before a holiday. Make sure, I guess, that let me ask before you go. How big a celebrator of Thanksgiving are you with everyone that's around?
Oh, it's huge. It's one of my favorite holidays of the year. So happy Thanksgiving to you guys as well. And
yeah,
you've been class all year long with covering college soccer. So we thank you guys for the intention and the well wishes.
Absolutely. What is your go-to dish at the Thanksgiving table that it's like, that's mine, no one else can have it? What's the one that you monopolize?
The honey baked ham.
Okay. And is there a dish on the table that is atypical to Thanksgiving that is there? Is there a wild card anywhere that is there? Are you straight up?
I'm married to an Italian woman. You can probably see in my face. I mean, she feeds me very well.
Oh, fantastic.
And so there's so many dishes on that table that sometimes I wonder, they start cooking early in the morning and the rest of the day. I try to stay out of the way because that's not my domain. Yeah, I love Thanksgiving, having the whole family back home. It's always nice.
Be safe, Coach. Have a great holiday. Enjoy the Italian and the honey-baked ham, and be safe down there in Orange Beach. We'll catch up with you on the flip side. Thanks again.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
There goes Alex Pama. He's the head coach of the men's side at Live View. And an Italian, married to an Italian, I just have these visions of like mounds of pasta in addition to the honey-baked ham there on the table. I mean, that would be just, for me, that would be about as perfect as it gets. You get my wife's rice dish. You get that wild card. I'll just stick to the Italian food. Look, if you're going to make pasta, I'm not going to turn it down. Pasta on Thanksgiving to me sounds fantastic. And of course, obviously, as a head coach, you've got to have your carb load because you're still practicing and everything. So I get that. That is fantastic. So Italian, Mary doing Italian, there's got to be like massive amounts of Italian food on that table. Oh, that's fantastic. Anyway, Alex Pama, he's getting ready once again. They had practice this morning, staying in that rhythm. And yeah, having all of those different countries that are attached to his program. And that was why I wanted to ask about the integration of all of the different ideas and philosophies. And, well, you know, I grew up with it this way, went through secondary school, it was like this. And now that you're, in college in an American institution, you have what Coach Pama wants. And it's like, okay, you've got to kind of flip it, have your knowledge base about who you are. And then at the same time go in, it's like, okay, I now know what he wants. And we can let it go from there. So that's your story about life. Once again, they're going to go through the week. They're going to go down to Orange Beach, and they've got one of the better start times on the day because the way it's laid out in the NAIA on the men's side at Orange Beach, Bethel, the top seed, gets the 10 a.m. start. Yee. The 10 a.m. start on December the 1st goes to the top seed in the tournament. What would have been your 116 matchup, you get the 10 o'clock. Thanks. Georgia Gwinnett is your 1 o'clock with Coach DeCou. They're taking on the 8th seed Cumberland. And then it is Warner Pacific and LSU Shreveport after Lifeview and Cumberland. So it's 4 on the 1st, 4 on the 2nd. And so he gets that extra day of getting ready for the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals are on the 4th of December, semis on the 6th. And so you could spend an entire week in Orange Beach if you make it to the last game of the year on the men's side in the NAIA. So very, very cool. We'll try and catch up with Coach DeCou as we go. Oh, Shake Norganista, and then a bunch of things that I can't turn into a word. So we got a bot. Nothing like bots. We'll get into Ottawa here. Let me delete this, or let me warn the powers that are about this bot really quickly. So Abby has an Ottawa request. We'll go into the other men's matchups, and then we'll get into the women's matchups on Friday with Coach McGonigal dropping by. Viewer solicitation bot. There we go. 23 characters. Submit report. Okay. Let's get into the rest of the bracket since we were discussing the men's side of things. So everything is round of 16, men's side. That's December 1st. Bethel and Grandview at 10. Georgia Gwinnett and Cumberland is at 1. Cumberland's Kentucky, plural. And Life is at 4. Warner Pacific and LSU Shreveport's at 7. Round of 16 on the right-hand side. Oklahoma Wesleyan and William Penn. So the number 1, the number 2 seeds of the tournament on the men's side, you get the 10 a.m. kick both days. Oklahoma Wesleyan and William Penn, who knocked off Grace, that would have been your 2:15. But the 2, Oklahoma Wesleyan taking on William Penn. And remember, there's a team that is going to be in the NPSL upcoming this year, based in suburban El Paso. And they have ties to Oklahoma Wesleyan. A freshman on the Oklahoma Wesleyan team is the club president for the NPSL team that's going to be in El Paso starting this year. We have that interview. That's up and running on the network. John Brown takes on Mid-American Nazarene at 1. Bethel, Indiana, that Abby hates, is taking on Indiana Tech at 4. And then WVU Tech and Ottawa, Kansas is at 7. So that's your rundown of the men's side of the NAIA bracket. So Ottawa is at 7, taking on WVU Tech on December 2nd. Bethel and Indiana Tech is at 4 o'clock ahead of them. So there you go. Okay, so the IHHF, that's what I was trying to think of, Ricky. Yeah, the IHHF is the hockey version of the World Cup. And that is absolutely true. Math anytime for me is a challenge. So pulling for Ottawa in a different bracket. Ottawa is low right. So Ottawa came in out of the play-in round, beat Harris Stowe, which is in downtown St. Louis. And they beat Lindsey Wilson of Kentucky out of the Mid-South, the 6th seed. So that's why they're playing the 11 WVU Tech. That's where Ottawa got into December 2nd, 7 o'clock local time, Orange Beach in the round of 16 in the NAIA. Okay. Our buddy Niko Moreno is going to be joining us in a handful of minutes, and he'll be breaking down everything Major League Soccer style. News out of Liverpool this morning, the parade crash trial. Paul Doyle is now facing a custodial sentence after he changed his pleas to guilty on all 31 charges. And Liverpool came out with a statement before the show this morning. Doyle pleads guilty to all 31 charges relating to the parade crash back in May. He had previously pleaded not guilty. Sentencing is going to take place on December 15th. Admitted to deliberately driving into more than 100 people in Liverpool back in May, and it is going to be sentenced either on the 15th or the 16th. So he also admitted 9 counts of causing grievous bodily harm with intent, 17 counts of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm, 3 counts of wounding with intent. Prosecutors say Doyle was left with no choice but to plead guilty after police reviewed hours of CCTV footage, mobile phone recordings, and dash cam footage to piece together what happened on May 26. Judge Andrew Menery, King's counsel, thank you for letting me know what KC is as opposed to QC. Judge Andrew Menery, KC, has set a 2-day sentencing date from December 15, remanded Doyle in custody, telling him he faces, quote, a custodial sentence of some length, and that he should prepare himself for that inevitable outcome. More than 130 people reported injuries after a Ford Galaxy Titanium collided with crowds on Water Street after 6 p.m. of the day of the trophy parade. Charges relating to 29 victims aged between 6 months and 77 years. So Paul Doyle has changed his plea, and that is the biggest news out of England this morning. Obviously, you've got stuff in the first division, second division, and all those kinds of things. You've got that going on this morning as well. So once again, Niko Moreno coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll go through everything Major League Soccer, get you ready for the conference finals coming up this weekend. We'll break all of that down for you. And we do have some notes that have come from teams as they look at their roster adjustments. Oluwetu Makanyu for Philadelphia. Philadelphia has exercised the contract option for Makanyu, securing him through 26 and 27. So that is news out of Philadelphia this morning. Indiana Vassilev is now staying. He has signed a contract extension as well. Then remember that Indy Vassilev started in the Tormenta system. So when we've had Indy on in the past, when he was at a previous employ, when he looked at the scarf over my shoulder and he freaked out, Vassilev signs a new deal through 28 with an option for 29. Quote from Bradley Carnell: 5 goals, 4 assists, 31 appearances, 21 starts. One of 6 Union players to appear in 30 or more regular season matches. And so 28, option for 29, and a happy Thanksgiving for the Vassilev clan in East Georgia. So very, very cool stuff for Indiana Vassilev to get that deal locked down for him. And obviously very, very cool there. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else news-wise that we missed or need to get into this morning before we get ready for everything going on in Major League Soccer, going through all the 4 matchups. Seattle had their news and notes yesterday. So let me see if there are any other clubs that we can get into in addition to Seattle with their notes. And players who are staying, players who are going, obviously we've got to keep an eye on all of that. The roster updates now exist for the Revs, Austin, Seattle. Austin signing homegrown midfielder Irvin Torres, by the way. Felix Samson is a homegrown defender. He has now been signed with CF Montreal as well. The roster update for the Revs, the Gonago season-long loan from Nantes is going to expire at the end of the year. 3 + 3 and 20 appearances. Brandon Bye out of contract. Looks like he's going to explore free agency. He's been with New England since he was selected in the 2018 Super Draft, 10 + 20 and 214 matches. Wyatt Omsberg is retiring from professional soccer. 8 seasons in Major League Soccer, Minnesota United, Chicago, and New England. Exercised option on Keegan Hughes. Omsberg's option was declined. Bye is out of contract. Gonago's loan has expired. So that's the news out of New England with the Revs as they head out of 25 and get ready for 26. Now, it'd be nice if, there we go. Attaboy. You sit there and you click a button and you're wanting something to happen and the computer just kind of stares at you. Roster updates for Austin FC. Decline the contract options for Julio Cascante and Diego Rubio. So that means that they are free to sign with anyone. Cascante had been with them since 2021. 141 matches for Austin, 4th most in club history. Rubio was there for the last 2 seasons, 6 + 4 and 66 matches, all comps. First came into Major League Soccer in 2016, also stopping at Sporting and the Rapids. Ilie signs a new contract with an option through 26, option through 27. Brendan Hines-Ike's contract option automatically exercised. based on performance metrics during the 25 campaign. So, contract options exercised for Austin FC, finishing 6th in the Western Conference and hosting the U.S. Open final. Stephen Cleveland, Brendan Heinzike, Danny Pereira, Riley Thomas, exercised. New contract, Ilie. Declined, Julio Cascante, Diego Rubio, and Jimmy Farcarloon. So that's the base of what happened in Austin. And then they also signed the homegrown player to a contract. So I don't know off the top of my head if that means that obviously you're probably chasing after a roster spot if you're Irvin Torres, but will you be a first teamer or will you be with Los Verdos? That is the big question. Homegrown midfielder under contract through 28, options for 29 and 30. For Los Verdos, 8+5 in 53 appearances. MLS Next All-Star appearance in 2023. 18-year-old had his debut in October of 24 against the Rapids. First Austin FC Academy player to represent the club at first team, second team, and academy level. Quote from Rodolfo Borrell, the sporting director, talented young player who's progressed well at each step of our pathway. Wish to congratulate him on becoming the latest Austin FC Academy product to sign a contract with the first team. Torres is Austin's third homegrown signing following Owen Wolff and Micah Burton. Quote from Torres, once again, Austin finishing 6th in the West at 47 points under Nico Estevez, eliminated by LAFC in the round 1 best of 3. So that's the notes from Austin as they had brought their roster up to date with the end of the 25 season. Mentioned CF Montreal signing their homegrown defender in Felix Samson. Once again, through 28, options 29 and 30. 18-year-old Canadian Youth International joined Montreal's academy in August of 23 from NYCFC 2. And it's the part of the move, the club acquired his homegrown rights from NYCFC. Named 2024 MLS Next All-Star, first call-up to Canada's U18s in August. And Lucas Saputo, managing director of recruitment and sporting methodology, promising center back, who can also play as a right back, build up playability, and his anticipation skills set him apart. Work ethic and ambition point to a promising future as a professional player. Montreal finished 13th, missing out under interim head coach Marco Donadel. Donadel was named permanent manager last month, getting ready for the new season for CF Montreal as they get ready for things in Major League Soccer in 2026. So that is, I think, that updates on Transfer Tracker. I think it does. Well, let's check it. Let's check and see real quick. So I'm learning more about Transfer Tracker because I thought other teams had laid out their notes for the year. So transfers, I'm trying to see if everybody is up to date when it comes to, and this is like all news and notes. This is like players dating back a year. I don't necessarily need all of that stuff. I just need to know the most recent things. And remember, the clubs that are still active, they have until the 10th of December to let you know what their decisions are going to be with those particular individuals. So we'll find out with the clubs that are still up and running, who can wait for a while and what can be done, because you end up with Amal Pellegrino being a great signing for San Diego from San Jose in a trade. That was August 22nd, toward the end of the trade deadline window. And you end up waiving Hamidi Diop at the time. And you had the one that's always going to stick with me with San Diego is the Milan Olaski deal, a mutual loan termination, because I guess they couldn't come up with a number, whatever that number was. And Nico and I have talked about it before. Still don't know why Milan Olaski, that number, whatever it was never agreed to. And apparently it was just like, good enough. Okay, I'm going home. And it turns out that Philly was like, sure, we'll take you. And you see what happened with Philly. So that's the Milan Olaski thing. That one's going to stick with me for a while. It really is, because it's like, how could you not come up with an agreement there? I mean, I don't know. So you look at Milan Olaski and the deal that he signed with Philly. That one we know because it was released to the MLSPA. Milan Olaski signed for a $500,000 base with Philly. Guaranteed comp 552.5, basically. So let's take the 552 as his compensation. Maybe San Diego couldn't afford him. I don't know. But if you look at the salary figures for San Diego FC and just who's in that neighborhood of what Milan Olaski was signed for by Philly. Tomas Angel, 443, 750. This is guaranteed compensation. Corey Baird, who will be in the San Diego FC highlight that we play in a little bit, 744. Manuel Boateng at 331.5. Luca Bombino, who is a bargain right now. You've got him at the rookie min. Heine Bruset, 242.4. Luca De La Torre is at $1,644,000. CJ Dos Santos in net $340,000. Anders Dreyer, his salary $2.4. Right now, that's a bargain. $2.4 million for Anders Dreyer. You've got some players that are under $100,000. Manu Dua, Leo Duru, Duran Ferri, and Anibal Godoy is at $408. Aiden Harangi is rookie min. Marcus Ingevartsen is at $1,740,000. Willie Kamado is a veteran contract at $116. Chucky Lozano at $7,600,000. So 7.6 1/3 times 3 would be 22. So I guess something of a $22 million deal. 763 times 3, 10, 8, 1. So 8, yeah. So it's like 19. No, 7. It's a 22. So like 22 million ish for Chucky Lozano, 6 million base, rewarded 7.6 1/3. Patty McNair at 762. Christopher McVeigh at 496. Alex Mighton 257. Franco Negri 297.5. Amal Pellegrino 912.5. Rookie min for Ian Pilcher. Rookie-ish contract for Saidi at 94. Andres Reyes at 807. Pablo Cisniega at 130. Pedro Soma at 275. Jeppe Tverskov at 700. Ani Valakati at 726.8. David Vasquez at 119.8. So that's what you're looking at. And you couldn't fit Milan Olaski in those numbers. You couldn't fit him in those numbers. That's strange. It's really strange to me. And so now that I'm workshopping this, let's workshop this for a little bit here. So looking at San Diego, at the time that they didn't sign Olaski, and then they let Philly sign him. Loan expires, couldn't agree to a deal, goes back to Europe, was there for like a day and a half to pack and then go to Philly. So San Diego, looking at the overall numbers of the league, so page up, I'll page all the way up. What about going home? I want you to go home. No, you don't want to go home. Okay, fine. So club roster profile, September. San Diego had $3.4 million in GAM available in early September. And Milan Olaski signs a deal for basically $500,000 to be a part of that offense. He signed the $500,000 deal with Philly, $500,000 plus with other stuff over the top of the guaranteed base. You had $3.4 million in GAM available to you, but you don't sign Milan Olaski. So the money was there. The GAM was there. Something had to be up in trying to figure out, okay, what do we sign him for? What are we looking at? All these kinds of things. That to me, it's just it is odd. It is so odd. Odd, I say. And being incredibly gracious with his time on a holiday week, considering that tomorrow we're going to be at all of our various spreads and things. Time to bring in our buddy Niko Moreno from PulsoSports and Sounder at Heart. We'll check the background, see what it looks like, see if you style and profiling. Check it. There it is. Look at that. He's got all the rave going on. Thank you for visiting on a Wall Pass Wednesday, brother, because I know we'll be busy on tomorrow making sure that everybody is well fed and sleeping during football.
Hey, what's going on, John? Good morning, SDH family. Yes, good thing I set up a quick reminder on my phone because definitely on a Wednesday might have slipped me by, but here we are ready to go. We had some interesting. Actually, some really good games in MLS. We had a finally end of season presser for the Sounders, so there's plenty to talk about there, John.
All right, so let's go with your end of season presser with the Sounders. You had analyzed what you thought was going to happen with names and folks and who's staying and who's going. So now that you had the press conference at the Providence and Swedish Library and 5-minute oil change, doesn't seem like it was a whole lot different than what you thought.
No, it really was not the most news breaking type of end of season presser. There wasn't really anything that maybe we had not already heard of or reported. I think that the most assertive thing we heard from Craig Weibel was the fact that Ryan Kent is not coming back at all. He closed the door completely on it. There was a lot of fans who were wondering if, despite not picking up the option, were there any conversations with Ryan Kent to bring him back? Because he had been a very interesting find, and he kind of showed up here more as a Hail Mary that didn't quite hit that touchdown, but it gained some ground, some yards, and people were wondering what that would look like next season. And he, I think he was very bold in saying there is no role for him here next year. That is a lot. I mean, that's very confident in your wingers, in your depth. I do think that there was something to do with compensation in order to keep him. That was part of the decision why he's no longer here. But look, this opens up the door to a guy like Georgie Manungu, who I'm excited to see next season get more minutes, continue to grow, develop. He is an exciting winger. There is obviously the possibility for Paul Arriola to right off the gate. He's been working on recovering, getting back out there, getting game fit, game rhythm. He was a player that when you first saw him on the training field, when you saw his first couple of games, it was exciting to see him play out there. Reed Baker Whiten is another guy that is one of the U22s of this team that might have an opportunity there. So there are some options, but without Ryan Kent and Paul Rothrock, who, although not for sure or official, it's pretty likely to say that he won't be with the team next season. So I think if there are some players, if there's room to grow that roster, I think that right winger, it's maybe a place where you're gonna have to go out there and get a little bit of help, a little bit more down the line type of right winger. You got Kalani Casariensi, you got Ferreira, that's more of a pocket winger. But yeah, Ryan Kent's departure was probably the most newsworthy thing. He did not like, speaking about Craig Weibel, he did not like me pressing him on the Obed Vargas situation. That was the one moment where he looked like he was trying to eat his vegetables in the dinner table. And I think a lot of it had to do with the difficulty of the negotiations, the severity of it. All I wanted to know is if he was concerned that there was a chance that Obed Vargas would walk away from the Sounders on a free. And I asked, how catastrophic would that be? But he did not want to answer that. He just said, you know what, it's I'd have to acknowledge that it happened and it hasn't. So but he just wasn't having it. I still think that the Obed Vargas situation right now is one of the biggest decisions that you got to make as a club. If he is looking for even a TAM deal beyond the U22 spot that you were hoping to get him under, man, I don't know if you might have to give it to him or you might have to pick up and take one of these early offers early in the year. But yeah, those are some of the things that kind of came out yesterday.
You mentioned Ryan Kent and trying to do the math with Kent and with Obed Vargas. I kind of understand where Craig Weibel's coming from here. Ryan Kent, his everything was 959,000. 6 dudes above him made 6 figures. So I understand perhaps him wanting to get the increase in the salary. He's looking for the salary bump in the new deal. And you combine that, though, with Obed Vargas, who is in an option year. And Obed is making just over 100. I think it's like 134, something like that. And then Paul Rothrock, you mentioned, out of contract. It's like, hey, we want you, but we got to figure it out. If you are looking to keep Obed Vargas, I understand possibly jettisoning Ryan Kent because you're going to need that money, even though you had 7 figures worth of GAM. You had like 1.1 in GAM back in September. So trying to play the math of, okay, who do you want to keep? Ryan Kent, who wants a salary increase to get him north of $1 million. Obed Vargas, who's in an option year that you want to keep, and you've got 2 U22 spots available there as well. What side of that do you massage? And then the Rothrock situation. So I kind of see where Weibel's coming from in this. And Ryan Kent not looking at the other 6 guys is like, I want to be paid like those other 6. So I understand the mechanics here. Am I off in trying to figure out, okay, if I can't go here, I want to keep those 2 or one of those 2?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that has to be part of the math. Again, the U22 spot has been controversial here in the Pacific Northwest because it's been open for so long. And yes, you have to give the Sounders credit in being able to look at their academy and their own product and bring in U22s to fill those. But at the same time, you also understand the fans wondering, hey, man, when am I going to get my Silvetti here with the Sounders? Or, how is that going to work out? And so there's some fine math to be had. Absolutely. And I think that if me looking at the situation, if I want to move those funds from Paul Rothrock and Ryan Kent per se, it would be to try to compensate a guy like Obed in order to keep him for a longer time, in order to give myself the most room to get him and the club the best offer to move him on. Ryan Kent, as you mentioned, it wasn't just the salary, but it was what you saw that the salary got you for that very small window of time between the injuries and everything. You weren't able to necessarily see what it could have been. And I do also believe that there is that depth at that left winger position that allows the team to say, thank you very much. They probably said something along the lines, look, we love to have you back for 500,000-600,000. And Ryan Kent said, absolutely not. I'm already taking a cut as it is. I'm outie like a belly button. So that is the situation right now with the Sounders, where all in all, John and SDH family, the conclusion, if you had to put it all together, or the narrative, the lesson learned after the press conference is that there's not going to be a lot of movement for the Sounders. And this is something that I've been saying for a while, it, and some of the fans that follow us on SDH do. But if there was any need to really hear it from the front office and from the club, if you see that presser, everything that they're talking about is, we're happy with what we have. Our roster is almost there. Craig Weibel kind of puffed off his chest a little bit about not going to get a U22 and instead bringing in a guy like Osasa de Rosario and developing him. And I know that's been controversial for some fans. But, hey, look, you got to give, again, this club the benefit of the doubt, because you had a guy like Kalana Kosariense come in and be a real contributor, be a key factor last season. You got a guy like Osasa coming in and scoring some important goals. Clearly, the Paul Rothrock situation had worked out for you. Danny Leyva is a guy that increased his minutes, increased the amount of time he had on the field. So, if anything, this organization has shown you that they understand exactly what they have within their own rankings and how it can be effective on the field.
All right, let's take a peek at the playoffs and the weekend that was, and we'll get into the weekend that will be. And we'll start with the late game, the last one. And I know that we've been looking at San Diego. Like I said, when you came in, I went down the Milan Olowski rabbit hole again. And I was still trying to figure out how he escaped San Diego and ended up in Philly. And I know San Diego sat there and say, well, who's still playing? Who's playing now? But San Diego, it took a little bit for them in the late game on Monday Night Football to get prepped and end up in the Western Conference Final. But it took this moment for it to happen, courtesy of our friends at Jammin' 95.7 and San Diego FC. It's our friend Adrian Garcia Marquez with the call. And, of course, he lit it up.
El Capitan scanning for openings, leaves it for Christopher McVeigh. Back to Yepe. Yepe lifts it, trying to get it into the area for Corey Barrett, who heels it back under Dreyer. Goal! Goal! And it's El Paletero delivering again. Ta-dum, pa-dum, pum, pa-dum, pum, pum. Paletero rain in San Diego. He cracked it. G-O-L-A-Z-O. Goal. Golazo. Anders Dreyer. Always on fire. Qué clase de paletero. Qué clase de jugador Darren Smith. When you need your MVP paletero shows up when you need him most.
Oh, AGM. He is absolute class.
I have never heard his call, but I really have never heard his call, but that is some quality. Love that.
Man, you've never heard Adrian Garcia Marquez before?
I have not heard him on the call of the San Diego. Absolutely, FC.
Wow, because he's a SoCal kid, and he also calls the Chargers games in Spanish, in addition to the stuff that he does with Big FOX, calling Liga MX and other competitions like that. No, we are worshipers at the altar of the great AGM. There's a reason that we call the stadium the Murph Dragon down in San Diego. That is straight from his glossary, because it used to be Jack.
Wow.
It used to be Jack Murphy Stadium, and it's Snapdragon now. And so he merged the two together, the old and the new. It's the Murph. I wanted to try to do something before you took a sip, because I didn't want you to spit take the day before Thanksgiving all over your equipment. But yeah, AGM is class, and he comes up with stuff. Yeah, he did the Prince yell that you heard there. That was him doing Prince. And it is a great blending of jazz and the Hispanic calls and English language, and it just all comes together in this fantastic sauce. We believe in the church of Adrian Garcia Marquez. He is a stud, as the kids say.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. I mean, it definitely felt like a bit of a gumbo of that call, because he's bringing a little bit of that Spanglish component. El paletero is crazy, by the way. Paletero, because of the dryer. It's actually quite clever. That is awesome. I absolutely love it.
All right, so I was trying to find the translation because I couldn't find the spelling. When he called them El Paletero, what was that?
Is the ice cream man, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing because his last name's Dryer, like the ice cream, right?
Okay.
That's the guess. I mean, I as far as I could tell, that's where my mind went. So it's phenomenal, and that was a great goal, right? As ironic as that game was, to see San Diego, the team with usually all of the possession, all of the opportunities, all of the volume of play. In this one, they had the possession, but they really had a hard time breaking down Minnesota like everyone else has all year long. But they take their one opportunity, their one shot, their one chance, and that little back heel from Barrett is phenomenal. And then Dryer to put it away with very little angle, but he hits it with so much pace that there's just no way that St. Clair's getting to that ball, and he is clearly the best goalkeeper of the year. This is one of the best defenses. So the moment that you put it away, and that's credit to San Diego and a team that, man, they show me that even when they're unable to get the chances that they want, they can put you away. And defensively, they were impressive. You got to give Minnesota also credit. I thought that they were the better team for the majority of this game. Because again, a lot of people have issues with playing against the run of play and their style, but they created the better chances. They really were on top of San Diego, but San Diego held on and they were able to take him out, man. And absolutely MVP. I mean, if we're in another era of MLS where there is no Lionel Messi. Dreyer is definitely a guy that should have or could have gotten that MVP vote. So credit to San Diego, and Pellegrino had a good game, and defensively this team is solid. It's going to be a good Western Conference final. Although I feel like we already had the Western Conference final,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a good game.
So, and then Los Angeles, the LAFC Vancouver game, we talked about it a lot on Monday because to us it's an instant classic. It is, it is that game where you're staying up late because you wanted to watch it, and because of how just absolutely ridiculous it got, you stuck with it all the way through. And yeah, it was a late night, but nobody cared. I mean, Vancouver, they get that second yellow. They're down to 10. They're out of subs. Players injured. They're down to 9. They are trying to figure out what they can stop the leaks in the dam with. It's like, okay, anybody got a spare finger? It's like Twister, red foot, right, and all this kind of stuff. And everything through the goal mouth. You had 2 posts and a crossbar in one sequence with Takaoka and Bouanga hitting it twice. It was crazy to me just how off the rails that game was. And Vancouver makes their way through, and Thomas Mueller, he's like, we're not done. And he has instantly assimilated himself into that Vancouver group thing. He's in a place where he can be a guy, not the guy, but a guy as part of a group. And I really dig that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know what? This game was a great representation of what each team has done all season. I have to give a lot of credit to Jasper Sorensen for, look, from the very beginning, from minute 1, taking no chances. Even if you didn't know how ready he was going to be for this game, you start with him, Blackman as well, right? He's coming off an injury. You don't know, but you start him. Where he played Laborda at, and how influential he was throughout the game. Everything about the way he put this team together and the red hot start should have been no surprise to anyone. What surprised me was LAFC's response to just getting hit twice in the face and being knocked down and getting back up. Look, that equalizer by Son was as good as it gets. I mean, right moment, right time, difficult shot because of the distance that you're from the goal. In order to put that much pace and put it where he put it, oh man, I mean, it was a thing of beauty. I was watching it with my dad, and we kept replaying it over and over and over again because it was just such a difficult shot. Overtime was great. The contrast of different styles of plays. I mean, this was the Western Conference final. With all due respect to San Diego, of course, they've had a great season, but this had the stardom, this had the suspense, this had the emotion, the electricity, the venue. And look, we can sit here, and I really do think that it's just saltiness from Lloris to talk about the field and all of these things. I get it, but let's not take away from what it was, which was an instant classic, as you said, and that includes BC plays and the atmosphere that was there.
San Diego's a favorite right now in the juice boxes at a plus 129. Vancouver is a plus 183. 90-minute draws a plus 252 in the composite. What do you think?
Give me Vancouver, baby. Give me Vancouver. I had them as the champs from the very beginning of these playoffs. I've absolutely loved this team overall. And the reason why I picked them is because progressively, I felt like they could manage the start of this playoffs and then start to get guys back. And the fact that I said it last week, John, I told you this team is going to depend on how healthy they are. But at the same time, they already had this baseline where, look, we're going to be able to get places. And now that they get White back, eventually they'll get Goal back, Blackman's back. I mean, this team is going to be rolling in all cylinders by the time they play San Diego. And I do think that they're going to win it. They'll win it in 90. I'm almost sure they're going to win it in 90, and then they'll move on to the final, and we'll see what happens on the other side.
Okay, so then there is the other side. Messi and friends of minus 200 taking on NYC, who's a plus 428. They didn't have Pereira. They didn't have their big guns, but you had Maxi Morales and Maxi, who I think turned 704 the other day. I mean, it's like he still just comes in these big situations and he pops in, and it's just like, all right, Maxi turns into Maxi. NYC got the goal that they needed, and they got out of town. They put up with Philly, and Philly doing Philly things, but they are a plus 428 going to the erector set to take on Messi and friends.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable line. I mean, to be quite frank, you got to give New York credit. I don't want to sit here and just say that Philly allowed this game to get out of hand, that they didn't put their goals away, that Baribo could have had this game finished early on, that Ilosky just didn't quite perform the way he had performed in the past, that Vasilev himself had a really bad game, I thought, compared to, what you've seen out of him all season long. But I want to just stay with how this New York team played and the way that Jansen set this team up, because he realizes that he has lost his best player, and he plays Nico Fernandez in this sort of like, I don't want to call it a false nine. I'm not really sure what to call it necessarily, but the way that he played with this team just worked. They were compact defensively. They give up some opportunities, but nothing that Matt Freese couldn't handle. And then on the attack, they were able to put some pressure on this Philadelphia team. Nico has been outstanding. I mean, all season long. But I continue to say that what makes this team tick is the character, the discipline, the energy, the understanding of what everyone does on that field. And they took it to a team like Philadelphia that reigns on the same principles. That's what they do, right? And there were some red flags about Philadelphia going into this playoffs, regardless of them being the Shield winners and everything. It showed in this one. When it came down to the potatoes were boiling, it just felt like New York City just had been tested more, and they've been able to get out of more situations than Philadelphia. And that's what gets them the goal. That's what gets them the ability to just hold on to that lead. And you just got to give credit to the well coaching there in New York City.
Couple of notes in the Eastern Conference before I let you loose for Thanksgiving. New York and DC United, Red Bulls and DC United have come out with their roster decisions while we've been talking. And as of 4 minutes ago, DC United releases their notes. And they have declined Christian Benteke's option for 2026. Dr. Erkut Sogut, Managing Director of Soccer Operations, did say that they remain in discussions with his reps regarding a potential return in 2026. Also actively working to identify and recruit top-level talent, including DPs, as a part of our broader roster build moving forward. 16 players under contract, 6 options exercised, 5 declined, roster of 22. Current negotiations with Benteke and homegrown forward Christian Fletcher after declining their options in 25. Luis Barraza, who probably should have gotten hazard pay at times with that defense he had to have in front of him at DC. I mean, he needed a bonus, man. He was on loan, but he needed bonuses from DC United having to put up with that back line that he was behind. Barraza, Benteke, Lucas McNaughton eligible for free agency, which opens on the 10th. And once again, they mentioned that you got to be 24, have service. You can talk to folks at 1 o'clock. You can start pulling up to folks' front doors at 1 o'clock on the 10th. I could just see a bunch of GMs in their cars around the corner from homes at like 12:58. Is it 1 o'clock yet? And at 1 o'clock, you're screaming. You hit the brakes in front of somebody's house. Under contract for DC. Avilas, Baji, Bartlett, Eno, Jordan Farr, Kim, Herrera, Karamoko, Jacob Morel, Joao Peglo, Peltola, Rolls, Schnegg, Brandon Cervania, Jared Stroud, Gavin Turner. Exercised options: Connor Antley, Caden Clark, Jackson Hopkins, Jose Kajima, Gabriel Pirani, Garrison Tubbs. There's some there. Options declined: Benteke, Dodson, Fletcher, Randall Leal, Rita Zuhir, and then free agents Barraza, Benteke, and McNaughton. So 22 for DC United. Red Bulls came out with their roster decisions literally just as I was making that sentence happen. So 28 players already under contract, 1 player out of contract. So they didn't really have a whole lot of decisions to make. Club declined the option on Kyle Duncan and Curtis Ofori, exercised the options on Peter Stroud and Sean Nealis. Tim Parker and AJ Marcucci currently in conversations to remain at the club. Marcucci is recovering from an injury, so I understand the roster gymnastics where AJ Marcucci was concerned. Carlos Coronel, remember, not a part of the future plans for Red Bulls. Julian de Guzman had his couple of sentences. Red Bulls 2-keeper Tobias Shuchek is going to occupy a homegrown roster spot as of January 26th. So not a whole lot of surprises out of Red Bulls. Probably just the big name surprise that DC United put on the table, that Benteke, they're not renewing the option, but they want to bring him back to the table.
That's a difficult decision. I mean, he is on about $5 million with compensation when it comes to his salary. That's a lot of money for a player of his age. Like, he's been great. He's a dominant aerial threat. Every single time you can count him in for goals without a doubt. He's a cerebral player as well. I don't think he gets a lot of credit for how well he reads and crashes the box and the other things that he provides aside from goal scoring. But look, DC United gave up 66 goals this season. They were the worst team in the Eastern Conference. The problems are a lot bigger than whether you want to keep Benteke or not. There is an identity crisis. There's a lack of midfield. So
there's just lack. There's just a lack, period, at DC.
Exactly. And I guess, we could put that on repeat because that's what we've seen from DC for so many years. But I really do think moving on from Benteke is in the benefit of just trying to fill up the rest of the holes of this team. When it comes to certain clubs, especially in a salary cap-based league, at times you just need to allocate that money elsewhere, and I feel like DC needs to move on. Now, who picks that up? That could be interesting, right? There are only a few teams that I think could provide that solid salary in terms of money, but he is a guy that if you put him in a win now type of situation, win now type of team, I don't know. Let's call it, I don't know, Charlotte, call it, not Nashville, but there's some clubs that be able to pay him. How about Columbus?
Well, I mean, you're looking for a team that needs a power forward, basically. You're looking for that post up power forward, and he made, to your point, he made just under full compensation was like $4,937,500, something like that last year. So he's going to want something in that ballpark, and your philosophy, you need that post up power forward that can distribute to the wings because of the positional gravity that he is going to attract. It's that second touch that it's always key to DC. As soon as Benteke chests it down, he's got possession of it. Where does he go? That's the key. So whatever offense can handle the GAM, handle the salary, handle the DP spot that they're going to have to surrender for somebody like Benteke, unless he goes high TAM, maybe shoot. Power. You need a power forward, basically, first and foremost.
Yeah, I don't think he fits necessarily, and I do feel like these guys are going to go get more of their own style of striker. But if there's a team that has room and a spot, it could be Miami. I mean, Miami.
I wasn't going to say it.
I know. It was staring at me in the face.
I thought it. And you've got the pink going on behind you as a
That's what it was. That's what reminded me right there.
And I was like, he's got the pink going on the screensaver. It entered my head to be Messi and friends if you need a post-up power forward, but that kind of goes against what Mascherano has been doing with the speed and creating opportunities. It would be like replacing Suarez with Benteke, if that makes any sense.
Exactly. And that's the only reason why I brought it up, because that could be it. That could be a possibility. Again, Columbus is another team that, does need that firepower guy. Again, doesn't quite fit, but with Wilfred Nancy potentially leaving, what do we know about what's the fit? I mean, we don't know what that's going to look like next year. There's clearly a talented roster that needs that final gunpowder at the end of that attacking system, and he could be it. But there's going to be plenty of suitors for a guy like Benteke.
All right. So what is going on at Sounder at Heart and PulsoSports? What are you doing for the holiday? What's the meal? What are you taking that no one else is allowed to eat? What's the wild card? Hit me.
Please go ahead and check out our end of season and the very last what we learned this season. What we learned this week with Jeremiah Shand of the 2025 season. We really broke down everything that we heard from Brian Smetzer and Craig Weibel in this episode. We give you a real look on what to expect next season with the Sounders. I've heard a lot of, hyperbolic takes, and there's MLS influences out there that they don't really have the insight. They kind of go more off of vibes, and they were talking about how pivotal the next season for the Sounders is, and the reality is that there's no indicators that next season is going to be pivotal at all for the Sounders. You could even say that maybe it might be difficult to get the Sounders motivated the way you did this year, because you had Club World Cup, you had all of these achievements, right? CCC, all these things that you're playing for. Next season, you don't have a lot of that. A lot of the excitement is going to be just on the World Cup, and that has nothing to do with Sounders necessarily. So next season is going to be very low on news, very low on moves. You're going to take it on. The pivotal season will come 2027, which I asked about, but nobody wanted to talk about it. Craig Weibel was like, that's a year from now. We don't want to talk about that. But the calendar changed, potentially new ownership within the Sounders, a new way of doing business perhaps for this team. 2027 will be the pivotal season. So check that out. It's a really good episode. Really recommend it. On Monday, we'll come in back with Ari Lillenwall in kickoff. So those are the things that we have going on. PulsoSports, of course, you'll find a press conference. You'll find a couple of other things that we're going to be doing for the end of season shows. And when it comes to Thanksgiving, have the whole family coming over. We got 2 different turkeys. My sister-in-law is making a turkey and salsa, which is a new recipe that she is putting together. My dad always does it very traditional style turkey. So we got a lot going on. I'm making a holiday Moscow Mule for the drink of choice. So yeah, man, it's gonna be a good time here at the Moreno family household.
That turkey and salsa, that sounds, the boss would be all over that. She's into the spicier stuff.
Yes.
And yeah, so yeah, the boss would absolutely be all over that. So if that recipe is available, go ahead and email it to me, because I'm going to give it to her, and then she'll sit there and go, ooh, she'll go and get it,
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
All right. I love you very much, my friend. Be safe. Have a great holiday. We'll catch up with you again next week, back to normal times, and we will know who's going to be in the last games of the year. So we'll figure it out. Oh, actually, can I have you next Wednesday again at 10:30? Week from today.
Yes, next Wednesday. Perfect. I'll make sure to put it on my phone, because if not, I'll absolutely forget.
Right.
So yes, absolutely. I'm in on Wednesday for sure.
Good deal, because Thursday next week, we're looking to try and get as many of our friends from Apple TV Plus to come in and crash and just look into the MLS High Senior Yearbook and give, most likely to succeed, all the awards and what they think for the season MLS Cup. So that's going to be next Thursday.
Nice.
In a perfect world. And so I want you to anchor and be back here a week from today at 10:30. And then you'll be back in 2 weeks on your normal slot, and you'll see how tired I am after the high school football championship. So that's it for the next couple of weeks. Love you, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
All right, there goes Niko Moreno from PulsoSports and Sounder at Heart. And it's always good to catch up with our friend Nico and find out what's going on with turkey and salsa. And that sounds amazing. That absolutely sounds amazing. That's the kind of stuff that we're hunting into. And the holiday Moscow Mule. I don't drink anymore, but that, just by the sound of it, sounds amazing. I'm sure the boss would like that too. So I'll ask Nico for those recipes and how things are different with all of his stuff. Busy show today. Thanks again, once again, to Niko Moreno. Thanks to Alex Pama, the head coach at Life U, breaking everything down as they get ready for their run in the NAIA as they head to Orange Beach at the beginning of next week. Once again, no show tomorrow, and we'll break everything down for you on Friday. Life U will catch up with Coach McGonigal on the women's side, batting leadoff. We're going to hopefully catch up with our friends. We'll see if we are friends from Major League Soccer, see who gets to join us on Friday, and then we'll find out what's on Nino Torres' mind. Obviously, we've got to get into championships and things and everything going on in South America. See if he has any updates on the story that he broke out of Peru last time out when he had to crash the show, and let us know what's going on there. Keep an eye out for roster decisions in Major League Soccer. Keep an eye out for all the other news that's going on as you work forward. Once again, teams that get eliminated, they have, I think, 72 hours to go ahead and name who they're thinking and what they're thinking for the subsequent years. And so we'll have all of that news as we continue along. So we'll be back with you Friday live. Thursday, we'll have some segments on tape, so set your notifications, and some of the great stuff that we've had all week long is getting chopped up into pieces as it always is, and you'll have that for you on later today and on Thursday, and get you ready for live on Friday. Happy Thanksgiving from all of us at SDH to all of you. We could not do this without you, and we have not been able to do this without you. So as we celebrate our 8th Thanksgiving with you, thanks for coming by, and we are absolutely thankful and grateful for you and everything that is going on in your universe as well. So have a great holiday. Enjoy your meals. Avoid traffic. Be safe. We'll be back here on Friday morning, 9:05 Eastern, getting you ready for the weekend and conference finals, and we'll find out who makes it to MLS Cup after this weekend. So mucha platiel, play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha platiel. We will catch up with you again on Friday live, but always set your notifications. We'll be right here before you know it.